All right, there's a lot of spooky stuff going on in the Fraser Valley real estate market. Happy Halloween to all of you. And today we're going to talk about prices and the fact that they're going down. And a lot of you are probably wondering, hey, why does my realtor keep telling me to reduce the price of my home? And I'm going to show you why. More than likely, that's why they're telling you, or I'm going to show you why they're probably telling you to do that, okay? For lack of a better verbiage or whatever, okay? So we started the year. This is the BC sold price to assessed ratio. So this is the price the price at which homes are selling at in relation to the July 2024 BC assessment ratio. Now, the assessed value of a home is almost always inaccurate, but it's used as a benchmark. So I'll use the BC assess ratio to value a home. Like I'll say, hey, homes that are similar to this home are selling 0.5% or 5% below the assessment value. Well, maybe that's kind of where we need to be priced. And I'll only do that if I don't have enough comparable sales data. So that's pretty much the only thing that I'll use the assess value for, is a benchmark. So it kind of acts like that in the stats as well, right? Well, at the start of the year, January 2025, let's go to March, actually. I think this will give you a better idea of what's happening, because the start of the year was actually pretty good. And then once the whole tariff thing started happening mid-February, that's when things started getting worse. So in March, the total residential ratio was 100.3%. So homes, on average, on aggregate, whatever terminology you want to use, were selling slightly above their assessed values from summer of 2024. However, going into April, they went down 0.8%. Going into May, they went down, 1.3%. Then they went down 1%. Then they went down. Basically, you average this out to October at 93.7% in comparison to 100.3% in March. And the price of homes on aggregate, based off of the assessment values, have been going down almost 1% per month. So if you're curious why your realtor, and again, this may not be the case at all. I'm not trying to listen to your realtor. Okay. Don't listen to me, right? Don't take any of my advice. Listen to the person you've hired to do the job. But if your home value on aggregate is selling going down 1% per month, that means the longer you're on market, the more value that it's losing. I think a lot of people that bought real estate in like the 80s and 90s really struggle in this market to sell a home, because what they're used to is like the average days on market in the 90s was like 110 days on market. That was normal. So if your home didn't sell in the first 2 weeks, you're like, whatever, we'll just leave it at this price. It's fine. It takes this long. This is normal. And I think the reason why that was because we didn't have technology back then, right? You had to walk to your local Remax, see the listings on the wall, or you'd have to open up the newspaper. And then even when you wrote an offer, that offer might be open for 5 days. The realtor would have to drive to your house, explain it to you, get you to sign everything on hand, right? And then you'd have to, I don't even know if you could fax in the 90s. I have no idea, but let's just say you couldn't fax. Then you'd have to drive the offer over to the other realtor so he could drive to his client. The whole process took way longer. It took way longer to locate these listings, took way longer to put them under contract. Everything took way longer because of technology. So if you were trying to sell a home in the 90s and didn't sell in the first 3 weeks, that was normal, and you could just keep the price where it's at and then just keep waiting until somebody came and gave you your price. That is not how it works today. If your home isn't sold in 14 days, 21 days, you probably need a price reduction for the most part, for the majority of homes, unless you're selling something unique. And the problem is, with being in a sliding market that's that's going down 1% per month, if you want to wait a month, 2 months to get your price, for example, let's just say you have a condo and the realtor says it's worth $500K. Well, if it's worth $500K, you probably want to list it at $509 or maybe $515,000 on the higher end. And you're like, you know what? I'm not okay with $500,000. I want $520,000. So the realtor says, okay, what if we list it at $525,000? Okay, cool. Everyone's dope with that, right? A month goes by, and now, because it's worth $500K and the prices are going down 1% per month, it's worth $495,000. So the realtor is like, hey, we're not getting a lot of action. I haven't really gotten any reach outs. We had maybe 2 showings. They said the feedback, they didn't really like the place, or maybe the price was too high. I think we're probably going to have to reduce to get some more action. Well, you say, hey, we've only been on market for a month. We've barely been on market at all, right? Let's just keep trying at this price. Okay, another month goes by. Now it's worth $490. Now you want to reduce the price. So you call the realtor, you say, you know what? Let's reduce. Let's go down to your initial recommendation of $509. Well, now your $509 is too high. So even when you reduce to $509, you're still not going to get the amount of attention you need to get pairs of shoes in the door, people in the door to actually see the property. You have to be priced low enough that people even show up to begin with. So in your mind, you're like, okay, I'm fine with $500,000 now, but the $500,000 isn't there. It's worth $490. And this is what's been happening all year. This is why there's a lot of inventory on the market, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And keep in mind, this is the aggregate, right? So what forms this negative 7% below the assessed value is a lot of homes that are selling maybe slightly above the assessed value, right at the assessed value. But then there's homes that are selling 20% below that assessed value. Just like I was showing you guys, I think it was 2 videos ago, the detached homes in Abbotsford, how one sold like 20% below its assessed value, and then another one only sold maybe 2 or 3% below its assessed value. There are properties out there that have been losing 2 to 3% per month off their March price. You know, at the beginning of the year, there were condos in Surrey Central that probably would have sold for $500K that are now selling close to $400K, right? So they might be losing 2.5% per month off of that BC assessed ratio, right? So in this market, it is very important. I would say you even price in front of it. You might leave 10 grand on the table. You might sell for 10 grand less than what you could have got, but you're going to sell. And locking in that sale and making sure that you're not chasing it down even further, to me, would probably be a better move than risking it for the additional 10 grand. Now, that's not always the case. If you price it right what it's worth, you should be able to get that 10 grand. But I'm just saying, to prove a point, that I would rather give the buyer a perceived deal or an actual deal than be on market for a month or two and end up chasing it lower and lower and lower, because a lot of people this year have gotten absolutely burned doing that. Now, those are some spooky stats, right? The prices on aggregate have gone down 1% per month since March. Some positive here is that if you are a first-time home buyer, I think you can get a variable rate mortgage now for like 3.75, 3.8. And I'm not saying go variable. Do whatever you want. I personally would go fixed, but that's starting to get pretty affordable. Like, you can get 2 bedrooms now in Abbotsford. College Park has them around $420,000 now, even lower. I just saw a quarter-ordered sale in there go for, well, I don't know if I can actually disclose it yet, but a damn good price is what I saw, right? And if you run the numbers on that, like, let's just see, like, if you can get a decent 2-bed condo now in Abbotsford, what are you paying for that? Let's just say you can get one for 415 grand, 30 year. Let's make it a variable at 3.8. 3.9. That's the cheapest one. Let's pick that. $1,500 a month now. You can get into a decent 2-bed condo in Abbotsford. Let's see a townhome, because I know I've seen townhomes pop up in that Willoughby Heights area now, 3 bedrooms for like $780, $2,900. And some people are like, "Wow, that's insane." Yeah, well, these used to be like $4,200 a month, right? Probably even more than that. They're probably even like $4,500 a month, right? So things are getting more affordable if you are a first-time home buyer. And I know people are like, "Well, why would you buy real estate? It's so expensive. The prices are going down." Yeah, not everybody cares about the price going up this year or next year or even the year after that. They just want a place to call home that they own. They can do their renovations. They want a dog. They can get a dog. They want to control the asset themselves, right? So that's why people buy real estate. They want to live in the same area uninterrupted for the next 10 years. You can do that if you own real estate. And it is getting quite affordable out there now, right? $1,500 for a decent 2-bedroom condo in Abbotsford. So there's your update for today. Prices are slipping fast. As I've said in a bunch of videos, if you are a seller and you don't want to hold this property for the next, If you're thinking about selling at any time in the next couple of years, I would say get in front of it, reduce your price and sell. If you're a buyer, things are getting affordable. You have a lot of negotiating power, and there is some decent inventory on the market to choose from. And yeah, the prices are going to keep going down. I still think it's a good time to be a buyer in this market. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you want to chat with me about buying or selling, link down in the description. I am that Agent Kelly. I'm making moves to move you. Happy Halloween. Peace.